So when they were making that prayer, I looked, I said, and then me, I cannot make that prayer to my own self. So I was watching everybody making the prayer. It was a very big embarrassment and a very painful one. When I, after the church service that day, I went home and I cried. That was the first time I could see myself cry. Every other thing that has ever happened to me, including when my mother died, no tears came out from my eyes. But you see, that day, there was a national public embarrassment. I cried. See what they say, Jesus wept. You see that language, that word wept is different from cry. That wept seems like, pouring of tears, like it wet the ground. My tears wet the rug I was lying down on while I was crying. And then I couldn't bear it to stand in the church anymore. So I decided to give myself a break. I tried the next week to come. I said, no, let me resume. The pain, I couldn't. I said, if I don't go to church, I won't die. Besides, these are the mindset of the human beings who treated me this way. So why should I even bother myself? So I stayed cool for a while. After 1 year, I after 1 year, when I kind of, freed my heart a little to forgive these people, I visited the pastor's office once again. I went there to confront him of what he did, what he knows that it was wrong. And I reminded him of everything. Before I even made a speech, this man said, oh, is it that thing that happened? Oh, that thing, we discovered that it was a lie. Don't mind those things. And I said to myself, is that just the end? I shouldn't mind them. But you people came out in front of the pulpit and condemned me. And even after condemning me and even after realizing that it was a lie, did you come back to the same pulpit to re-announce that it was a lie? No. I realized that no, this person isn't acting elderly. He wasn't acting elderly. He didn't even bother that he wasn't seeing me in the church. He didn't bother. He didn't bother when he realized that, oh, this person have not been coming because of this thing. He didn't bother. Meanwhile, this was someone I visit after church service to present. There was something I normally buy for him every Sunday. I buy that thing every Sunday. So at least not seeing this person presenting this one Sunday, 2 Sunday for a whole year, he didn't even bother. I was like, okay, at least you have realized the truth. And I stepped out of the office. It was about 2 years later. I heard a rumor. But the person who was saying this rumor didn't want it, like, he said it without knowing that I was there. He was saying a story and he mentioned it and then got shocked. He closed his mouth because he realized that I was also there. And then I smiled. So he didn't have a choice than to continue the story. And he continued the story. And the story was how this same man who made this national, I call it national because it was a very wide public disgrace. Who made this public announcement? I heard that his daughter went to marry and everything was set. The entire church and all the whole invitations, top people of that church came around because he was well known. So, but during the occasion, you can imagine in a marriage, a traditional marriage ceremony where everybody have gathered and everything, and they were waiting for the husband. All of a sudden, they heard that the husband said he's no longer marrying. He has changed his mind. In fact, that was the worst things I watched in movie. Things I've only met in movie. I've only watched the movie. That was what happened to the man. That was the end of the marriage. But they didn't want people to, like, they didn't want to be talking about it since he's a man of God. But the story was everywhere. And that was how I heard it. And I was like, really? So the person who was saying this, because he got shocked that I was there, he changed the narrative and was like, you see, I really didn't want to say this because, see, it will look like it's a karma that happened to the man after what he did to you. And I was like, so you know what he did to me? Huh? You know what he did to me. So why won't you call it karma? It was a public disgrace to me, but his own was a national disgrace because he invited people from nationwide. It was a top wedding. And this happened. That was one. Not long again, I think maybe the same period of 3 years, 2 years, one of the young men, the second in carrying out this evil plan against me, I learned he went for youth service. According to what I heard, he tried what he did to me there. That was how the person used the language. He tried what I don't know how the person was, whether the person wanted to make me feel happy or what. And he said he tried what he did to me. Another person said maybe he wanted to try what they do here. He tried it there and they hit him. That was the language. And then this guy was returning from the youth service after 7. While they were returning home, they had an accident and somehow his hands were cut off. And I said, what? I got shocked at the first place. But the first thing that went to my mind, of course, is what they did to me. I was hearing story right and left, right and left, but the ones they didn't want me to hear. Stories were flying right and left of things happening. But still, he didn't touch any of them to come and say boldly, these people have wronged you. They should come and apologize so that things that are happening will stop happening. But no, Buga. For me, I don't even know how the things were happening. I'm on my own. So you come to tell me that scammer doesn't exist. I don't know what I should call these things happening. I don't know what I should call it. Should I call it maka? Should I turn it around and call it maka? Okay. When I was very young and tender, that was when I lost my mom. I was in a distance from where she died. Though little, but I heard the stories of what happened. He said while she was on bed, she laid a curse. He said all the people who their hands are in her death, that they will die before she enters the grave. All the people whose hands were in her death will all go down before her final rest. That was what my sister told me. I heard this later though, but what I know, I was hearing regularly was what was happening while my mom was in the mortuary. Every day we were hearing deaths, death of this uncle, death of that person, death of this, all the people from that particular zone, from that particular place. There's a particular family. They were all dying. And to the extent that I had to join in the count. I joined in the counting. I remember when we counted 9, we counted 10, and then we counted 11. I joined the count when it was ninth person dying. And then on the particular time she was being laid to rest, she was laid to rest around 12 o'clock. As at 11:40 something or 11:50 something, another died. I think that one marked 12. They all died. These 11 or 12 people that died, it all took place within April to June. That's how many months? May, June, 2 months. It all happened within 2 months. The 12 people died. I don't have any other convention or other name to call it rather than karma. But the most important thing is your hands clean? Before you're asking for justice, is your own hands clean? Before requesting for justice. So you go about and tell people that karma doesn't exist, karma doesn't exist. If it happens, if something like this happened, then why didn't this happen? Go and check very well. People are not as pure as you think they are. Go and check very well. I see people whom people see physically, like outwardly, their hands are clean, but inside, they are not. I've seen such kind of people. They are very, very something else. They are actually engineering evil against people. But outside, you think that they are, free. So before you think that karma doesn't exist, check very well. And if it's about yourself too, check very well. I remember last month, I don't know how it happened that I just stood while standing. I was able to list about 11 serious karma that happened to people around me, people who did 1 or 2 things around me. Serious karma that happened to people who did 1 or 2 things against me. To the extent I was like, I wish I can plead with these people. Don't do this kind of, don't be doing it. You're on your own. You are on your own. So before you think it doesn't, work, check yourself. Check yourself very well. Because nature, you see nature, you can't bribe nature. You can't bribe nature. It stands still. So whenever it strikes to the evil ones. It strikes to whom it chooses to strike, according to justice, according to what has happened. I also remember a story of a friend whom I worked with in a particular office. We worked very hard to get that office. I devoted everything I have to work so that we can get that office. And finally, we did. We resumed that office and we're working. But a certain girl who, I would say because of fame, fell in love with this, my friend, who got this position. She was roaming around just lately when we were about to get that position. And then she came fully as soon as we were attaining that position. And she was all over the boy, trying to make sure she was present in every picture that the guy appeared. Not that she was the one that engineered the success, no. But it was towards the success that she joined. The key point was that this guy told me that, how do I see this girl? Do you think that this girl really loved me, or it was just because of this position? And I told the guy that, if you ask me from my own spirit, this girl doesn't love you. It's just the position. She wants to make sure she answers the name. She wants to make sure she answers the name. She wants to make sure she is presented in the front. I don't want to mention the name, but the story I'm telling, the person knows if he ever comes across this. And then this girl forced herself so much. And then finally, the guy started, entertaining her, welcoming her. She will bring food. She will sleep with him. She will do this and everything. But me standing by the side, I knew that this girl wasn't it. And the guy have asked me, and I told him, no, this girl is not good. This girl is not for you. I told him clearly, this girl is not for you. And women, with time, this guy have, eaten the soured soup. And once you eat the soured soup, before you know it, to some who can't control themselves, their head turns around. So that was how the guy's head turned around, and he started seeing the girl as gold. Or maybe the girl have gone to do one or two things to back up her existing pursuit. But what I saw next was the guy was now all over the girl. And before you know it, the guy started having issues with me. And I laughed because I remember what I said and I know my ways. Gradually, this girl had her way into the position where I work, courtesy of this boy, because without the boy, the girl cannot take that position. And then one day, the guy even warned me and told me that if I'm not happy with a girl, then we'll have issues. I said, wow, to this extent, some people are afraid of a boy, taking their girl. Your own is you are angry that I am not happy with your own girl. I'm not with her always. Can you imagine? And I said, okay, I heard you. Before you know it, he chased me out of the office where I assisted him, the same position that we worked together. And I left peacefully. I left and resigned peacefully. People asked me what happened. They don't see me around again. And I said, oh, that's what happened. This happened around 2014. And I resigned. I distanced myself. I left everything, even though I also left with pain, but I didn't mind. After 7 years, because it was in 2021, I got the news. In that 2021, somebody I was talking with on phone, the person asked me, I hope you have been speaking with so person. And I said, no, since that time that thing happened, I've not have anything to do with them again. And I asked him, I hope they are fine. He said, that's for the guy, he's okay. I said, what about the girl? He said, they are no more. I said, they didn't marry again. He said, yes, they didn't marry. I said, after all these things, they didn't marry. After all this, he said they didn't marry. In fact, the girl is dead. I said, what? What happened to the girl? He said she was on her way in preparation of their traditional marriage. I said, oh, and I'm not even aware that my guy was, wedding. He said, no, that the girl was in preparation of traditional marriage with another guy. Then on her way home, she died. On her way home, she had accident and died. I was like, wait, with another person, not even my guy. And I was like, and this my guy, because of shame, because of what has happened, the shame won't allow him to call me and say, this is what happened. One of the reasons is because of what? He has experienced several times when I tell him something and that thing comes to pass. Now, is it not high time you should be careful of everything I said? At least for you particularly. Because of shame, he never contacted me. Shame didn't allow this guy to let me know what happened for all the years. I didn't know. I was like, oh, so this girl is just gone like this. So when I heard that news, I became afraid of myself somehow because I was afraid of people doing things bad to me. Because when I connect the dots, I could see that it's only people who have done one nasty thing or the other. It's only them that I see around me having one issue or the other, one unfortunate thing. I didn't have any other language than to give it that name, karma. Yes, I don't know how karma chooses to do its own action, but however it worked, and I saw this results only on people who have done this nasty thing towards me. I had no conclusion that to say truly, maybe this is how karma does its own dirty job. You see, I hear people say karma does dirty job. Dirty work. When he's doing it, it's dirty. It's meant you don't choose for it how it does its own thing. You don't choose for it. You don't choose for it. I've seen people do things and then stand on it. They commit evil and they stand on it proudly. You have done evil to someone and then you stand proudly on top of that. I have seen it. And then I pity such people when it comes to my side. I pity such people. Karma exists. Just that a lot of people's hands are not clean. Karma exists. I say he who seek for justice must come with a clean hands. Make sure your hands are clean so that when you want to seek for justice, justice will come for you. You see things happen outside, and because it's your own person, you cover it in the name of this one is my brother, this one is my friend. When you go inside, I will advise him. But what have you displayed outside? You have displayed injustice, Abi. If it is like that, then everybody has a brother and they will defend their own outside. So how do you expect justice to ever play? To ever exist? How? If you have to protect your brother outside and caution him inside. You see that general statement, that usual statement, that usual slogan. You protect him outside and then caution him inside. If that is the way it should be, then there will never be justice in this world because everybody will keep displaying injustice outside in order to what to correct their own inside. Meanwhile, you should have corrected this person on a normal day with lessons, with teachings, with statements before things happen. Teach this person something so that when he finally comes outside and display the same thing you have warning him about, you'll be bold enough to reject him.